So let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. I know I called it intimate relations. Everything's going to change in your life. Will change. And I will tell you, one of the biggest resistances I get to this is that people will say, no, Dr. Vuong, my husband and I are solid. We're good. We've been together 25 years. We've been together 30 years. We've got kids together. We got grandbabies together. He doesn't care. He loved me when I was skinny. He loved me when I was big. And I'm here to tell you everything will change, including your marriage. And I talked about how you basically, if you lose 110 pounds, you lost a high school cheerleader, which basically meant you were carrying another person before surgery. Is that true? You were carrying another person before surgery. You lost an entire person after surgery, which means what? This person that's left cannot be the same person. Got it? You cannot be the same person. Everything will change, and here's the reason why. Because you will change. And that's it, you know. You're not the same person. You know, I'll write that down. You're not the same person. And what I want to talk about, you know, the talk is about sex, so I want to talk about that. I think I can do another talk less about the sex and more about like the intimacy, and maybe I'll talk about that a little bit today. So one of the things I didn't talk about on my broadcast this morning is this. You're not the same person because you lost 100 pounds. Makes sense? But number two is your partner is also not the same person. And I mean this, like they didn't have weight loss surgery. They're just your husband or spouse. Maybe if they did have weight loss surgery, this applies to them. But I'm assuming, my point is that even if your husband or your spouse does not have weight loss surgery, they won't be the same person. They'll be older. They'll see how you, because they'll change, because they see how you changed. So they're going to change. They're going to become, it's going to bring out their deepest, truest qualities. So that's number three. So weight loss surgery only enhances those true qualities. So we got to underline true, right? That looks weird. True qualities. So if your husband is very loving to you now, he'll be more loving after surgery. If your husband's standoffish before surgery, like, oh, I support you, but you go do your thing. I got your back. You go do your thing, I'll do my thing. He'll be more standoffish after surgery because of these first two things. Does that make sense? If your husband's frisky, he'll be friskier after surgery. It only brings out the true qualities. Weight loss surgery will bring out the true qualities of your marriage. If you guys communicate well, you'll communicate better. If you guys bicker and like snip at each other, even if it's loving, or this is how we are, we've always done this, it will get worse. Like the snipping will get worse, and it will probably get to where it's almost hurtful. You got to be prepared for that. Okay, so the true qualities, so it could be hurtful, or it could be like, or loving. You just don't know. It will bring out the true qualities, right? Hurtful or loving. So your marriage will either get, if it's already strong, it will get stronger. If it's shaky, it will get weaker. Like you'll get a divorce, most likely, right? And you can't help it. And you can sit there and say, no, I want to save my marriage, or I have a good marriage, or whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what we want. You know, we don't get what we want. Because this is going to be the truth. Amen? Y'all get that? All right? So And let me tell you, screenshot, because I want to tell you why this is going to happen. Okay, and the first thing is I'm gonna start. You will change. Okay, so you will change physically. So we joke about this a lot in my clinic, like physically, like, Dr. Vuong, I'm more flexible in bed. I can fit, like, woo! Y'all know this position, right? Woo, Dr. V, look at my legs. You know, which is fun. That's fine. I get it. I don't mind. I mean, I think it's good to have. I'm watching myself flip my legs up. I think it's fun. You know, you want to have an active sex life. So you're all excited. I'm physically able to get into positions, to position, right? I weigh less, so I can get on top. You know, all that good stuff, right? So that part there. Now, pay attention now. We think it's going to be exciting. Like, I can't wait to get on my husband again. Like, we think it's going to be exciting. But just keep in mind, it could be scary. And here's why. Could be scary. And one of the major reasons why is loose skin. Think about that for a second. Now, if you've lost 100 pounds, 150 pounds, and you had all that belly fat, you're going to have this big apron. And you might not like how that feels or how that looks, right? It'll bring out your insecurities. Like in our heads, in our brains, we think if we get into this awesome backwards cowgirl position or whatever position you're going to get into, like in your brains you think like you look like that porn star, right? Or you look like that model on television or that movie star, and that's what your husband's going to see. But reality is most likely you won't look like that unless you have plastic surgery. There will be a time period where you have loose skin and you start getting into these positions and, ooh, you're going to be like, ooh, that's not good. That doesn't look good. You know, I hate to say it. I'm not trying to be ugly. I'm just preparing you. So when he's got your legs folded over your ears, you look down and you've got this loose skin. You might not like that. You know what I mean? And the loose skin has other issues, you know, chafing, rashes, you know, looks, rashes, which leads to smells, all sorts of stuff. This is real talk. Now we're talking real talk here, right? That even if you say, oh no, my husband loves me regardless, he's always loved me big or small. See, it doesn't matter what your husband thinks or what you think your husband believes. It still messes with your head. Your head. I mean, I'm 5'8", 138 pounds, around there, 135, 138 pounds. And sometimes I look down, and I turned 40, I'm 44. I can't believe I just told you my age. But like, I'm getting that little man pudge right here. And sometimes I look down, I'm like, I don't like how that looks. So I can only imagine what it's like when you've lost a tremendous amount of weight and have a lot of loose skin, right? So your husband, your significant other, let's call them SOs, okay? So spouses, and I don't care if your sexual preference orientation. So your significant other might not like it. And I know that's a mean thing to say, or it's kind of harsh, but it's reality, right? Like your significant other might say something like, oh, I liked it better when you were big. At least you didn't have these rashes. Right? Or, I don't know, people say all sorts of weird stuff, and I got to prepare you for that, right? So, and this is that ripple effect I talked about in my broadcast, that right, the ripple effect that your surgery has, and Remember what I said is that it will highlight the truest qualities, and this is why. I mean, if your significant other, like, secretly, I'll just say it, secretly watches pornography and expects a woman to look a certain way, we're in trouble. You're in trouble, right? If your significant other, I'll give you one. If your significant other is insecure about his or her own body, now pay attention, your self-confidence might bring out their insecurity. Does that make sense? So it amplifies their insecurities. So you might be all excited about being able to get into this position, but if your significant other doesn't feel like they can live up or perform to your standards or your excitement, causes friction. Does that make sense? I know this is terribly depressing. The other thing is, you got to remember, and maybe I should end this broadcast. Number 3, it's like, oh my god, this terrible broadcast. I guarantee you it will, underline will, feel, F-E-E-L, different. So I'll talk a couple different ways. It will feel different. So you maybe had a belly or gut, maybe y'all both have bellies and guts, and you're trying to have sex, and then you lose this weight. Now you have this loose skin or this apron, or it's gotten smaller. When these two, like this is you, this is your spouse, we'll say your husband, and y'all, these two bodies start coming together like that, and the friction starts happening, you know what I mean? You're getting your friction on. It will feel different. True? You'll have folds and skin stuff, and it will feel different. Like on the skin part will feel different. But remember this, fat is everywhere. So it's all over your body, which intuitively you know is right. But let's get intimate. Let's get real talk here. So there's fat in your thigh area. Your thighs will get smaller. So you'll have less impedance, less things in his way or her way. You have fat around your vagina. I just said it, vajayjay. You have fat in your vajayjay. So how your genital region will look will change. And then you have fat around your vagina too, internally. So your vagina will feel different to him. On the men's side, you have fat right in front of your penis, right, men? So you'll, so maybe things will look bigger. I can't guarantee it, but it could look bigger. You might, it might feel different, right? So your body coming together will feel different, but when you become engaged into, you know what I'm saying, right? You know, when you get intimate, it might also feel different. And you might or might not like that. That's the truth. That's real talk with Dr. V, man. Don't assume that you're going to like it better or that he's going to like it better, right? And the best thing you can do is kind of, I hate to say it, but the only thing you can really do is talk about it. You have to talk about your insecurities, how you're feeling about your body, and not in a bad way. Like, don't say like, ew, this looks gross. Like, that's really annoying to men, right? Like, I don't like it when people say that. Like, you really need to be like, oh, my body's changing. It feels differently, honey. What do you think? Or how do you feel about this? You know, which takes me back to this. If your marriage before, your relationship before, you guys were not good at communicating, this will highlight that quality. it will be worse. Like if you couldn't communicate prior to surgery and you're trying to talk about sexual relationships, it's going to be like, oh, what the fuck are y'all talking? Like, oh, like you can't communicate afterwards. And that will cause a lot of friction and distress. Does that make sense? Everything else I will leave to your imagination, but I wanted to get that out of the way because it's such an important part of us as humans to be sexual. It's a major part of our identity. It's what we see in the media, television, movies, and it's not bad. I don't agree with people who say, oh, everything's so sexualized, this shouldn't be so sexual. I'm like, it is what it is. We're sexual beings. Like, it doesn't bother me, right? So, and in fact, you want to own this part of your life. It's a major part of your life is your sexual identity. I mean, we couldn't wait as teenagers to get sexual, right? Like, our whole purpose was to kiss a girl or a boy, and men, once the little soldier stops working, we're looking for that little blue pill. We're looking for Cialis. We're looking for something to make him stand back up at attention, right? And we mourn the loss of our sexual drive. Women mourn the loss of their sexual drive, perimenopausal, hormonal imbalances. So to ignore our sexual side is just really asking for trouble. You can't ignore your sexual side, your sexual identity, and you have to embrace it. And I want you to be prepared because it's going to really change after weight loss surgery, either for the better or for the worse. I'm going to tell you in my experience in my clinic, for most people, it's been an up and down roller coaster, and I hate to say it. As a general rule, it's down. It's usually gotten worse. Some marriages have gotten better, but sometimes it's just temporary, where initially it's exciting, but once the weight loss becomes really bad and women get really insecure about their loose skin, or men gets really insecure about their loose skin, like the big men who lost a lot of weight and now suddenly they have saggy women tits. I'm not being ugly, right? I'm just trying to prepare y'all. Like suddenly they look like they have saggy boobs. Like that really jacks with a man. And doing bench presses is not going to help with that saggy boob skin. And the same thing happens to women who lost a lot of weight. Maybe they had big breasts and now they're shrunk and they're gone, or they've deflated, right? And it really jacks with our brain. There's a brief period where you've lost some weight, you're more flexible, loose skin's not terrible, and you reignite your marriage, your sexual side of your marriage, but then you want to keep losing weight, and your brain kicks in about the insecurities of the loose skin, how you look, and then your spouse, your significant other, is also feeling it in the sense of other people are looking at my partner, she's getting compliments, he's going out with his buddies. So it's a ripple effect. It affects both of y'all, and that's why boys are bad, because you're changing. Like if you're watching this and you're single, do not get into a relationship with anybody. The reason why is because it's not that boys are bad, it's that you're changing, you're a different person, and the guy that you're attracting at 250 pounds is not a good enough guy to stick around. Is not a good enough guy to get you to be 130 pounds, if that makes sense. So that's kind of all I wanted to say about this topic. I hope it was really useful.
Hi, Dr. Vuong here. If you loved that video, I hope you will check out velocity2020.com. I want to meet you in person. This is my big annual conference in Vegas. It's amazing. It's not just about weight loss surgery, but it's about taking your life up to the next level. You're going to meet the best people, the best speakers, the best audience possible. You're going to really take your life up to the next level. 2020 is all about vision, clarity, and focus. We're going to show you how to find your vision, what you really want to do with your life, get crystal clear, clarity, and then find your laser focus to do what you need to do to have the amazing life that you deserve. Hope to see you there.